an introduction to objects using the two different ways that you can declare arrays as an explanation. And further than that, I'll go on to talk about why we have the two different types of declaring arrays and what the advantages are of each. So first of all, declaring arrays, the two different ways. All right, what that does is it declares an array of bytes. Bytes are small integers. The name of this array is B1. So we go byte array B1 is assigned new byte 3. What this new byte 3 does in terms of objects, and here's where I'll start the diagram, is B1 will be a reference object, I'll explain that shortly, which points to room enough for 3 bytes. 8 bits. So B1, importantly, is this. And what this is the reference or the address of where those 3 bytes are going to be stored. So let's say, hypothetically, using hexadecimal as the conventional naming way for memory addresses in a computer, let's say that this just happens to be started to be stored at FFF222. That's the address. That's right there. Right next to that, the bit next to that would be FFFF22223. Right? So this FFFF2222 address gets stored here. That, in fact, is literally what B1 is, declared this way. B1 is the reference to the array. And the array right now, by the way, will default to zeros. All number types in Java by default to 0. Now let's look at the explicit way of declaring an array. There we go. That is saying that there's this byte array called B2, which is 3 and 9 and 12. There's no need later on to add those values. We just know from the start that's what it is. So explicitly we say from the start that's what B2 is explicitly. Which means that B2 actually is the array. There's no pointer, there's no reference, it just is. B2 is (3, 9, and 12). And naturally, stored in memory, those are going to be zeros and ones. So this one, in 8 bits, is going to be 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1. And that's going to be 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1. Zeros and ones. But that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is that here we've created an object, or a reference to the array. And here we've created the array itself. I guess we can just go one step further with this by filling in what the actual 3 numbers are going to be here. So we can do it right here. Let's go back to B1. B1, say the 0th. So the 0th element of B1, 0th element of B1, and I've just lost electricity and air and all that, whatever, it's just the way things are here. B10 is going to be assigned. You can still see this, right? Because we have the sun out there. B10 is going to be, oh, there we go again, is going to be 52. So no longer is it 0, it's 52. We'll go B1, 1, 63. And we'll finish it off with B1 element number 2. It's going to be 99. So, an array made the object way. You can write that down. And an array made the explicit way. And so for the second part of the video, why? Why are there two ways of making arrays? There are basically two advantages of this way and one advantage of this way. Start with this. One advantage of the explicit way is just because it's easier. It takes one line. It doesn't take, in this case, 4 lines. We know what the values of the array are going to be, so we just put them in. We put them in. We know it's 3, 9, 12, so it's 3, 9, 12. Now, for the two advantages, the two main advantages of declaring an array the object way, one is a complement of what I was just talking about. If you don't know what the values are from the beginning, I know that I want an array of 3 bytes, but I'm not sure what they're going to be. I'm going to ask the user, what's byte number 1, what's byte number 2, what's number 3. And the second one is a little bit harder to explain, but I'm going to try. Here we go. The reason it's a little bit harder to explain is because you have to understand methods and parameter passing, but it's not that big of a deal. So let's just leave these over here in memory. And let's change one thing. Let's say that instead of being 3 elements for each of these, there are a lot of elements, like 10,000. To do that the explicit way is just, would be, it'd be long, it'd be a lot of numbers, but hypothetically you could do it. So picture 10,000, just try to picture 10,000 numbers explicitly pumped into an array. So they're big. That's the only difference here, is that in my diagram is that they're big. So this would be 10,000, and that would be 10,000, taking up lots and lots and lots and lots of space. Let's say that this is all in the main method. And let's say that there was another method. Called another method. And let's say that that another method took in as a parameter an array of bytes. and did something with it. You just have to imagine something there that's doing something with the array. So the idea, if you don't know how method parameter passing works, is that sometimes methods require information sent to them to work a certain way. This another method is going to do something with this array that it receives. So back here in the main, I'm going to call another method twice. Once I'm going to send v1. And once I'm going to send v2. So here's the thing. Technically, what is b1? Technically, what is b2? They result in the storage of 10,000 bytes each, but b1, because it's done the reference or the object reference way, b1 that I'm passing, this thing here, gets sent down here. A copy is sent down here, and it's a copy of key point, a copy of that 32-bit address. That's it. So a copy of that is made, we're copying 32 bits, that's nothing. Meantime, for this call to another method where we're sending the array b2 made the explicit way, 10,000 bytes, a copy of what b2 is sent. And b2 is the array. It's not a reference to the array. It's not a pointer to the array. It's not an object pointing to the array. Any way you want to say it, it's not something like that. It's the array itself. So this b2 is copying and passing something that is 10,000 bytes long, not 32 bits, 4 bytes long. So it's a waste. This is very wasteful of memory, and this is not. Now, on a big modern computer with 16 gigabytes of memory, it's not that big of a deal. But on a watch, for example, a smartwatch, it might be a big deal because you're just wasting. You're wasting the amount of memory that it takes to pass this thing. That's the beauty of objects. You just pass this, but it's still, the copy down here still points to the same information. Lovely. So there you go. I'm going to review the reasons for using each of the two ways, and then that's going to be it. Just a quick review then. We like to use the explicit way when we just have a limited number of numbers or whatevers, and we know what they are. And we don't want to spend a lot of time assigning them later. Meantime, the object way of making an array is an advantage. If A, we don't know what the elements are going to hold at the present time of doing a line, that'll be done later. And 2, it's much more memory efficient if we are going to send the array as a parameter to be processed by another method. All of this will be revealed and reinforced and gone over the course of the whole year, but if you can get a pretty good idea of this idea of objects now, it's not going to hurt. And certainly at this point you should know, you should be able to walk away with the two different ways of making arrays, and if nothing else, just the fact that there are reasons that are explainable in 4 minutes and 16 seconds for why you would use one way or the other to declare arrays.